Firefox, but the main ones that they say Amplify says works is Chrome and Safari. So I'm going to use Chrome. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys, my son logging on. I'll be logging on this in.
Mr. Hurd, I just made you the host, just FYI.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let me get rid of this. I can't see some things. All right, so I'm going to change to as a guest so that it's kind of a fresh start. And I recommend that we start at Smyrna Middle School. So search Smyrna Middle School however you want to do that at home. And the Smyrna Middle School's website comes up looking like this. You could also start at Google Classroom, because I feel like Google Classroom is the kind of the board. When a student would walk into our class, we would have directions on the board, and that's kind of how I see Google Classroom being. So I think that's also a way to search for Google Classroom. So get started. And once they get here, they're going to ask them to log in. And so for my son and for most students, depending how popular your name is, it should be just your first name, not your last name, at smyrnaeagles.org. Then the students should have their lunch number or their IDs, a student ID number. I'm not giving out my son's ID number. SSD, capital SSD, and then their 6-digit lunch number. If they have a lunch number that's less than 6 digits, they have to add zeros in front of it. All right, so this is Google Classroom, and for my son, he's got several classes that he's working in. This is the science one right here. Miss Lucca originally created it, but it is for all 7th grade science students at this time. So all of our teachers are here and using this Google Classroom. I'm going to click on that. And you can see upcoming here for this week, we have some lesson 1.5, 1.6, and 2.1. This is called the stream. So the stream has, some comments. Anybody that's in the class can write on it. So sometimes it does get a little crowded with stuff, but you can see Miss Lucca, posted this morning, hey guys, basically this is what we're working on this week. And then there's been some comments where students needed some help, and then the assignments are after that. Another way to see the assignments for this week is to go to this tab here, which is called the Classwork tab. And when you click on that, our newest unit is Matter and Energy in Ecosystems. And so you can see for my son, he completed last week's 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. They're grayed out. So he clicked in Google Classroom. While that's not required, he clicked that he did those, marked them as done, and that showed up here. My wife likes to see that that's checked so that we know that he was in there and he at least clicked marked as done. But that doesn't really mean that he completed the assignment. It just helps us keep track and him keep track of what he's already worked on. And so as new ones show up, as we go through these last few weeks of school, new ones show up, they'll be purple. At this time, does any teachers would like to add anything to what I've said?
The only thing that I've noticed, Miss Ward, is when your student is going in Amplify, make sure that they hit the hand-in button. I noticed from last week, the assignments I'm looking at, I had some students that worked on them, but they didn't hit hand-in, so they didn't come to me for grading. So that would be the only thing I would just remind them to hit hand-in when they work on the assignments in Amplify.
Okay, and I'll discuss that a little bit later as well. All right, so this is, again, what I consider to kind of be like the directions that you would see on a board if you did walk into a physical classroom. And so today's lesson is 1.5, or this week, I should say. And it has some directions, step 1, step 2, step 3. I do recommend, for me, I like to view the entire assignment instead of being in this like preview window. And so I click on view assignment. There's several things here that I like. The students can private message to the teachers, and they can send us messages this way. We get emails saying that, hey, a kid has done this, and we can reply to them that way as well. But again, you can look at the steps that the students are supposed to follow. And so for step 1, they're supposed to go to this video, or step 2. Step 1, they're supposed to go to a notebook, which is this page 20 notebook. It's down here at the bottom. Students can also, while I'm down here, can also comment at the bottom and ask us questions there that they think other students might be able to benefit from. So they can comment there, and it's not private. Everybody sees it. And so that way it could help other students out. So anyway, we're going to click on this tab, or I'm sorry, this link, to go to another tab for YouTube video. This is going to start, but I'm going to pause it. And this will play through. All right, so the way the Amplify is set up, it has some things that the teacher is supposed to give the students, that students don't have access to it online. So these YouTube videos is what's going to help the students gain some background knowledge and some things that they don't have access to on Amplify. So I recommend that you have like 3 tabs open. You have the directions from Google Classroom, which looks like this. You have the tab that is the video that they can look at. And then lastly, we want to go back to Smyrna Middle School and go to students login at Clever. And so there are links sometimes in the directions in the Google Classroom, but this is also a way they can get to Amplify by going to students, Clever, and then they log in with their Google account, just like they did for the Google Classroom. Since I think since I already logged in as my son on this tab, or on this Chrome browser, it's already got his information in there, and so it logged him in. There again, here are ways to get to all things as well, Google Classroom links and Amplify links. So if you didn't want to do the Google Classroom that I showed you earlier, you can get to it here. My son has clicked down here on these links and made them his favorites. So like this heart has been checked. If he checks the heart, it shows up at the very top, just like you saw a few minutes ago right there. If he doesn't check that heart, then it doesn't show up at the top. So if I get rid of that heart, then now that Google Classroom is gone. So I asked him to check Google Classroom and also to check Amplify so that it shows up here. And he's got a teacher that also uses Schoology, so he's checked that as well. So that is kind of a good way to start as well and open Google Classroom. But now we're going to Amplify. All right, so just double check that you're in the right lesson. Usually it'll take the kids to where they left off. So up here at the top, you have Amplify Science. We're in the right unit, Matter and Energy and Ecosystems, Chapter 1, Lesson 1.5, which we look at the directions for the today's Google Classroom. It does say 1.5 is what we're supposed to be working on. If it doesn't come up to those, you can click on these. Let's say, it's not on the right lesson. It's still on lesson 1.4, which was last week's assignment. You can click on chapter 1, and it'll give you a link to go to lesson 1.5. Same thing if you're not on the right unit. You can click on Amplify Science and get to the right unit, and so on. So there's a thing up here the students can use to navigate through Amplify. One thing I kind of would like to point out that I just kind of figured out this morning is over here is the 3 little bars. The students and yourselves could ask them to log on, and then they can click on this and they can go to My Work. And this will show them what they have handed in. And Mr. Ward was just talking about make sure they hand in their assignments on Amplify. This is where they can double check that when they finish. So if they go to My Work, They can see any feedback the teachers can give them at first. So there's no feedback for my son at this moment. There was one there this morning, and we've looked at it. And so then Mrs. Ward was his teacher. We looked at that feedback. So that's under Home tab over here. There's also a Portfolio tab. You click on the Portfolio tab, and again, you got to come make sure, see, he's in chemical reactions. You got to make sure you're in the right unit, unfortunately. But this is a good way. It's a little confusing, but there's a good way to just double check their work. And so chapter 1, he's handed in the warm-up for lesson 2. He's handed in this for lesson 2. He's handed in this for lesson 2. He got 15 out of 15. He's got this little envelope popped up. That was the feedback that Miss Ward had given to my son. And he can click on that and see that. So you can see he handed in lesson 3 here, and lesson 3 here. So these lesson 4, that was all last week's stuff, all the way down, and now I guess he's downstairs working on lesson 5 at the moment. Yeah, but I talked to him this morning. That's what he said he was gonna do. That's cool. All right, so now it opened up in another tab. That was going to the 3 little bars and going to my work. And that just double checks that he's handed stuff in Amplify. Okay, so here is, I'll get rid of this. Here is lesson 1.5. And the way that these lessons are laid out is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, can be 3, can be 5, can be 6 different activities within that lesson. And then there's a lesson brief on the left, which gives them some resources, digital resources and stuff that they might use throughout the lesson, vocabulary, and some other things. Any teachers want to add anything about this video? Or about this page?
Real quick, Mr. Hurd, I think, as you were saying before, that lesson brief, just making sure that, like, if the kids want to watch the videos, it's in the tutorial. Like a lot of the videos, when we have the tutorials up there on the YouTube, they're there. But at other times, you know, they want to watch it again, you can see it there. It's posted there a lot of times over there in the lesson briefs, as well as a lot of the other things. They can find the readings and so they're also there in the lesson briefs as well.
Yeah, good point. So yeah, again, the lesson brief has a lot of things that they can use to help research and figure out the answers that they want to use for their answers. All right, so then usually starting lesson in part 1, and basically what they want to do is follow along with that video I talked about earlier on YouTube. This teacher will take them through the lesson, give them the background information, give them you know, when to go to, you know, that part 1 of lesson 1.5, which is where I just clicked on here. Which she'll tell them when to go to part 2 and do that assignment. So watch the video. The students should watch the video to kind of lead them through the activity. Now this video is only 3 minutes long, a little bit over 3 minutes long. There could be many videos and for each lesson. So you want to go back to the Google Classroom, and you can see there's some directions here where there's the next video that they would go to finish up the lesson. Amplify has started to make these videos for each part of the lesson. So the videos are a little bit shorter, but that means they got to come back here and click on the new links for the next video. All right, I'm just going to progress through Amplify, and I want to look for where there's more pages. Okay, here's one. So another thing to keep in mind for your students is these next. We'll take them to this next page down here. You've got a 1 and a 2. So they should click on next here to get to the 2 after they do those directions. And then when they get done these directions, they have to click next activity. And that's part of the hand-in process. If they don't click on these purple things and they just go up here and go to 3, they might not get the confirmation of handed in through amplify. They've got to click on these purple ones to progress through and basically show that they've completed it. So then you can click next activity. And then there's times where they type in and they save and continue, and that's going to give them their hand in and take them to the next page, which is down here. Okay. Anything else the teachers want to add about Amplify at this point? Maybe I missed.
Just really make sure that you hand everything in correctly, like you said, or else we can't give the feedback. We can't do anything to let them know that we received it. So it's really important to make sure you press that hand in button. It kind of gets lost sometimes, especially at the end of the lesson.
Yeah, they don't scroll down enough. That's a good point.
And do you want to show them the simulator there too, Mr. Hurd?
Yes. So the simulation for this unit is used many times. It's usually a link in the directions, and they have to click on it, and it'll open up in another tab. So they don't lose their place in Amplify. So I'm going to click on that now. You can see another tab opened up. It does take a few moments. It does ask if you have an iPad, because if you're using an iPad, there's an actual app that you get from the App Store to download. Oh, I didn't mean to click yes. Let's see what happened. Yeah, see, it takes me to the App Store to download from the App Store, and that's what it looks like in the App Store. So if you do, or if you are using an iPad, that's what you would want to do. I'm not using an iPad, so I click no. And it does take a few moments. It is a simulation. If your internet's slower, it might take a little while. Amplify, while I'm talking about running slow, Amplify has had some technical issues, typically in the middle of the day about this time, where they're a little bit slower. We've noticed kids complaining about not getting on Amplify anywhere between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And maybe that's a high traffic time. Again, if you guys can make sure you're muted from background talk, I think. If you do have a question for me, we'll ask for that in a few moments. So this is the simulation. The way it starts, some things to point out is there's a lot of things the kids are asked to change and modify to try to point out, get the kids to come to a certain understanding of how ecosystems work, primarily dealing with the energy source of the sun. They have to click play up here, and then it changes to look something like this. And some kids are not seeing, the key information at the top, like what different symbols mean. So definitely focus on looking at the key at the top. They can speed it up, slow it down, stop it, pause it. Take a good look at how things are flowing within this model. Anything else you want to add about the simulation, guys?
You want to show them the ability to go into the cell, Mr. Hurd, and then maybe show them the information and graph functions in the bottom corner.
Okay. So Mr. Hewes is talking about the view cell option right here. You can click on to see the cells. And so when I click on that, it goes inside here and gives them a close view. This can be somewhat confusing. This is a producer cell, so basically a plant cell inside the view, and obviously not a real cell, but a computer, an animation of one. So we have chloroplast and mitochondria. And again, you can
run it while, run it while it's in there.
So you can start running it, and you'll see things that are happening inside the cell that they're going to be learning about. So for example, in chapter 1, they're learning about photosynthesis. So they're learning about how carbon dioxide and water, and taking a look at the key up here, are coming into the chloroplast. And if you watch real closely, the next step, a chemical reaction takes place, and now we end up with an energy storage molecule. They'll later learn that's glucose and oxygen. Later on in the future chapters, they'll learn about mitochondria and what's happening over here as well. And they can watch those things change as they go through that chemical reaction. Okay. What else is there in here? They can, yeah, that's pretty much. Anything else?
Well, yeah, if close that one out, Mr. Hurd, and then the bottom corner, bottom left corner, you have information, the little eye there, that gives them what's going on while it's running.
Okay, so that's a good point.
And
Yeah,
then the
so
graph as well. You might want to show them the graph because they need to, it's clicking on photosynthesis and, you know, moving some things around there.
So yeah, we've got these information comes on, it kind of tells you, and again, it can be done while it's sitting still or while it's playing, and you can see the numbers, gives you more quantitative values to see rather than just looking at the simulation. Gives them more numbers so they can see how things are changing and moving along depending on what scenario they've kind of created in the simulation. Also, you got a graph here. So that's also a good scientific tool to use and understand how to read graphs. So they have that option here as well to look at and also help them answer some of the questions as they go through this unit.
They can only select 4 things to see during the graph. So it'll ask them to look at like photosynthesis and the energy molecule storage or energy storage molecules. So they'll have to turn off a couple things in order to turn some of the other things back on. And photosynthesis is over there on the left in the bottom there because it comes up as a green.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they can only do 4 at a time. Okay, so that's the simulation they'll be using many times throughout this unit. I'm just going to stop it for now and go back to the directions. And so they're supposed to find 2 ways, in this one, they're supposed to find 2 ways to decrease the amount of energy storage molecules that producers make, and then pick their, and you can see my son's already picked some of his things that he's doing. He's playing in the simulation to figure those things out. And then they would go to the next, well, they have to click down on that purple button and go to the next. My son's already answered these, and so if I change it, then I would update it here. But because I haven't changed it, nothing needs to be updated, so it's kind of like grayed out or not as bright. So in recap, I think there's just, I would have the video open from our Google Classroom, and there's several videos that the students should follow along. I think when they're done their lessons, after they go through, then watch the video and they follow directions that are on the video or on Google Classroom, they should go back to the 3 little lines here and check out my work and make sure that they've turned everything in appropriately. See if there's any feedback from the teachers, either place. So they can see feedback over here, or they can see it in the home one. So for today, I would select, just the ones that they're supposed to do today, which in this, you can only do this chapter at a time. So I'm going to look at 1.5 and 1.6. And I can see that my son says he's handed them all in. And I can look at the times and say, oh, he kind of went through that kind of quick. I wonder if he really got the full effect of that. That's kind of what us teachers would do, but you guys as parents could also do that. You're pseudo teachers, your student's number 1 teacher. And then for today also, we have chapter 2. So we'd have to switch that view. And again, I would just select the one they're supposed to do today. And he's not quite moved on to this. So there's nothing here to see. I think that's a good teacher and parent tool to use. If your kids would log into Amplify, click on these 3 little lines and click on the My Work, you can kind of see where they've progressed and how long they've taken to do the assignments. Anything else the teachers need us to show, or we can start answering some questions? I know that was a lot. Appreciate your guys' time here today.